All right. Okay, guys. Well, thanks so much for joining. And today we're going to talk about time management and time blocking, and the importance of it and how to really put together a successful real estate agent calendar. So first, let me ask, who uses a calendar or something? What do you use, I guess? What do you use to tell yourself what you need to do today? How do you keep track of when your appointments are? And really, more importantly, do you also add time for the other things that you need to be doing in real estate, such as lead generation, working on your social media, preparing for open houses, all of that stuff? So who does time block? Who time blocks it for the other things than just appointments? And what are you using? So,
I'm using my cell phone, my Apple, whatever's on my iPhone.
yep.
But I probably would be better for me to switch to the colors because that would help me.
Yes, so just like Heather said, she uses Google Calendar. So
Yeah.
I definitely use Google Calendar. My calendar, I'll just show you. I don't want to waste time on a share screen.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
pretty full. So I do have some color codes, but like that was last month. It gets pretty jam packed. How about you, Bree? What do you use, if anything?
I think I showed you mine. I think it might be the Apple calendar.
Okay, yep. So same
Yeah.
as Kim.
Mhm.
Yeah, yep. Um, so Heather, you can color code from it's easier to do it from your computer. So like mostly I do everything and I'll pull it up to show you guys here in a minute when I do a share screen. But know that your Google Calendar in particular, there's a lot more options of things you can do with it from your computer than on your phone. There probably is a way in the phone to see how to color code and do some other things. I'm just not sure how to get to it from my phone, and maybe it's not even an option. I do all of that, yeah,
I have
from
yours
my
signed up. It's
computer.
automatically. Yeah.
Also, our Keller Legacy, Google Calendar can get connected to your calendar as well. And then you have those little check boxes of which calendar you want to see. So like I'll turn on and off my personal calendar. I'll turn on and off Legacy's calendar, depending on what I want to see, and then the color code. So we can jump in and I'll kind of show you guys that a little bit. But what I want to spend a good amount of time today talking about though is do you use a calendar? Does it function for you? And then what does that look like? And how do you incorporate all of the things that you need to be adding to your calendar for real estate in particular? So we'll go over some tips and tricks of other agents and different stuff. All of this that I'm going to pull up here in a minute on the share screen is in the Google Drive for you guys to access. But I would say this, and tell me, please jump in, anybody. I start with personal. Everything that's on my calendar. And by the way, do you guys know you can do reoccurring things, right? So like for me, Dominate Your Week on Mondays is always reoccurring. Other stuff on the calendar might change a little bit here and there, but I always put the same certain things so that they can reoccur. And that makes it just a little bit easier. You can add people to your calendar. So like Bree, if you and I have a one-on-one, and if I put it on my calendar, I could add it if you're using a Google Calendar to your calendar as well, or kind of send you an invite that way. But let me dive into the share screen here real quick so that we can take a look. And I'll go ahead and start with the Google Calendar so I can show you guys a couple of things there. In my, let's see. Logs onto my, I've got too many emails. So just find your email that you have it connected to, and then go to your calendar. So here's my calendar, and it's a color code, and to add additional things is all across the side here. So you can scroll there, the different calendars and create more calendars here. So adding a calendar, connecting different things, like here's the KW calendar that I can check on and off that will show up on my calendar. I even have, for some reason, Mark's calendar is connected here. All those things that you're gonna do in creating things is just along the side here that will, you know, color code it or organize it, if you will. So like I have a couple different shades of purple. I'm not sure why, but in any case, I start with just, like I said, my reoccurring things, which is dominate your week. Lunch with Jen I had the other day, even my calls. So this was a call I had with a recruit the other day. And as you'll see at the bottom here, something I have reoccurring, one of the things that I have to do every day with the locker room is I have to put in our group chat the win of the day. So what's the one thing that I did in business today that was a win? So did I achieve my goals for the day? That kind of thing. So that's just my reminder. I put all kinds of different things on my calendar to remind me of, you know, anything that I need to know is gonna be on here. Tasks, I can check other people's calendars here, which obviously don't have on there. Just whatever. Questions on the calendar, because I don't want to spend a ton of time there. But does that answer your question about where you can color code things? It's just right along here. You can add additional calendars, you can add additional things. It connects you right here if you accept the invite to the Keller Williams Legacy Calendar. All of that is there. For me, if it's not on my calendar, it truly does not exist. And that's just simply because I just have too much that I will forget. And we may think that we can remember, but I assure you, we will definitely forget. So I'm gonna hop into the drive, because more importantly than what we want to do, so in here in our training folder, I have an entire folder dedicated to time blocking. And lots of great stuff in here. So we're gonna spend a little bit of time going through this stuff. Because what I really would love to see for all of us is to decide, and I've got a few different things here. And that reason for that is because not everyone's going to do the same stuff, right? So I want you guys to decide what works for you. I may not follow this particular graphic and calendar perfectly. I can just tell you what I do, and then I can show you what others do. I incorporated some of the Jeff Glover stuff. He's got a fantastic calendar. For those of you who were in our Monday Workday group, I used a lot of the stuff on here, as well as Jeff Glover's calendar for his team. So I guess the real question is this: how dedicated are you to your business? And, you know, it's kind of like putting together your goals. If you do your GPS and you put together your goals, but you put stuff on paper, but you never really intend to use it, then don't lie to yourself and put it together, right? Like doing the exercise isn't going to make you money. It's doing the stuff. So, you know, if you're going to spend time learning about time blocking, then I would recommend that you start doing it in a little way. Like, I'll be honest, I don't even know what my next appointment is today. I don't need to have that information stored in my brain. I have my calendar for it. I'd be in big trouble if I lost my phone or something, because then I wouldn't know where I'm going or where I'm supposed to be. So, you know, also sometimes someone's texting me for an appointment. If I don't stop what I'm doing and put it on there right then, it will disappear out of my mind. I think most of us as agents are pretty good about remembering appointments or classes. But what we don't do is time block for the important real estate things that we should do. So like running your business like a business. Was anyone on the locker rooms training class yesterday at 2? So what we talked about there was the 19 things they don't teach you in real estate school. And one of those 19 things is treat your business like a business. So that means, you know, when you got your real estate license, no one told you that you were actually not getting a job as a real estate agent, that you were actually opening a business. And if you were a business owner and you are a business owner, wouldn't you have certain things you have to do daily and weekly for that business to thrive? So let's just dive in. to a couple of these different things. So this was the 10 daily habits that most successful agents follow. And I just found all of this stuff online and through different resources. Some of it came from the locker room, some of it came from KW, and others of it I just thought was good information. So, and to be able to follow it and put it, now again, there's a blank one of these. If someone needs to have a written visual, then by all means do that. Not everybody likes the Google Calendar or something online. They want to write it. I'll say that I even put things like call so-and-so or go to the grocery store. Like I just like having it all on my calendar. That doesn't mean that I don't have a to-do list. I still have things that I have to do and I like to put that on paper. But that's entirely up to you. Some people are totally, everything's on their calendar no matter what it is. So for example, priority type things. So like this person has their closing on there. I would go as far as to say this daily action plan is very similar to our Dominate Your Week form. You guys know that that Dominate Your Week that we do on Mondays came from a document, right? Bree, did you know that? I've probably said it a couple
Yeah,
times.
I think you brought it up one of the first
Yeah.
ones.
So the Dominate Week form is actually in the drive too. But it's very similar to this where you're talking about what's important, what are my top priorities today. This might look a little bit different for somebody who is in real estate and they've got pending transactions and they've got showings than someone who's brand new who doesn't have those things yet, right? So that it just evolves to that. In any case, what are the most important things I have to do? Here would be one, obviously, I have a closing to go to, prepping for tomorrow or this weekend's open house, posting on social media, appointments. So again, this is budgeting down your appointments of the day. Your to-do list is on here. And then even just personal things are on here, daily insights. Some people love to and need to feel like they're doing, gratitude. They have a gratitude journal and they feel like it makes them feel good to write those things down. Mason does that. I'm horrible at stuff like that, but he's really good about, when he's in a bad mood, he goes to his gratitude journal and writes down what he appreciates. So, in any case, here's an actual like guideline. Did you have a question? Something's echoing. Okay. Sorry, I'm not paying attention in the chat too, so I think I covered that. Okay. So here's, just a basic schedule of what real estate agents do. I would say take things like this, and there's a couple different examples in here, and customize it, make it your own. If you're not into waking up at 5 a.m, then you're not waking up at 5 a.m. Maybe your time is 7 a.m. I will tell you, I get up in the morning and the first thing that I do, besides make my bed, is I like to do my emails and my social media while I'm having my coffee. Because I can sit there for, 25 minutes and drink my coffee and have a protein bar while going through my, emails from the night. And then going into my social media, the first thing that you always pull up, if you pull up Legacy social media, is going to be somebody's birthday. I swear it's somebody's birthday every day of the week. And by the way, happy birthday. You had a birthday this week.
I want to go back.
And do some engagement, maybe doing some post creations for later today or in the future. Those kinds of things. I utilize that time. That's not everybody's thing. I'm a morning person, so I like to utilize my every minute. I have a high energy person. I will do my mindless stuff at night when it's dark and I'm watching trash TV or something. Other than that, I like to make the most of my day. It keeps me motivated, keeps me moving forward. So I like to get that kind of thing out of the way first thing. Not that I'm not checking it throughout the day, but I like to do it while I'm sitting there having my coffee in the morning. And then if I am going to work out, then that would be a point to do that. A lot of people like to do their lead gen. I know Bree, you have said before, if I'm not mistaken, tell me again what you said was the time of the day that you did your lead gen, I'm pretty sure you said it was first thing in the morning, or was it Fridays? That's what it was.
In the late morning or early afternoon or something.
Yeah. did-
Yeah,
agree.
I usually do like Monday mornings from like 9 to 10 before I come in. Or if I don't do it Monday, then I do it Friday.
Yeah, I love it. And what counts is this, that you're consistently doing it, right? So whatever that looks like. I was having a conversation with somebody who felt like they are doing a lot of lead generation, but they're doing it in large pops of time and not consistently. And I said, you know, if I wanted to get really fit and I only went to the gym once a month for 5 hours, would I get the results that if I went 45 minutes 4 times a week? Right? So it's more about little bites like that, but consistently. So I would say that you get way more out of the consistency of it than doing it one time a month for, 8 hours. It doesn't mean that that doesn't work. It's more about the, buckling down and being consistent. And I don't know anybody wants to lead gen for 8 hours. I guess I would wonder who in the world are you still calling after that much time? That doesn't mean that you can't put little blocks of time for like blasts of, I'm gonna have a call day. Like I know we've got some people that do like their call 100 people today kind of a thing. But I think it's more about the consistency. So I love that, Bree, that you're doing, Mondays and Fridays. Friday is my overflow day on my calendar. I do occasional classes. As we know, we do scripting on Fridays. And I do take some appointments, but I usually use Friday to be my overflow day for the things that I maybe needed to move from my calendar that didn't get done. For me, that's a rarity, but there are still times, like I got on a recruit call yesterday and it took up an hour of my time in the middle of the day that I didn't have as an appointment. So it ate up some time for some other things I was supposed to do. So rather than it just disappearing off my calendar, I went on and I moved it to Friday. So you have to get really good at that kind of thing. You don't lose it, you just move it. Decide what that best time of the day for you is. I would say doing some research on when are people that I'm calling answer the phone or answer a text or are responding to me in some way. There's, you can Google it and it's going to tell you each day of the week to get the best response from people, but it also depends on you and your sphere and who you're contacting, what group of people. And also this, I also on the locker room training yesterday, somebody was talking about lead generation and saying that making cold calls or calls at all, is like the most dreaded thing ever, but they're going to force themselves to do it. And here's what she had commented, and I totally agree, which is this. Don't try to force yourself constantly to do things that you know you hate to do. You won't be able to maintain it probably unless you have an extreme amount of willpower. Why not look into what you actually do like to do and focus really hard on that? So if you're really good on social media, but you're not really good on the phone, then dig deep into that thing. And then that fills your time slot for lead gen. Do not misunderstand that lead gen means that you have to pick up the phone and have cold calls. It doesn't. Could we all agree that houses that we've sold didn't all come from cold calling? We've all gotten a variety of business from a variety of places, and it's not just the end all be all. So that doesn't mean not lead gen because you think that means cold call. By the way, calling your SOI for care calls throughout the year occasionally, that's not a cold call. That's a warm call. You know that person. A cold call would be literally buying a list of names and numbers and calling them. That's absolutely not the same thing. So, keep that in mind. Would you say, I know Bree does some internet leads. Do you do internet leads?
I don't. I've been considering buying some, but honestly, I'm just so mad at myself. That's why I'm coming to this again, because I know I have in my sphere people I could be calling.
Yeah.
And that, I just lost, not the one I went to, but I lost another one that I didn't follow up on. With their kids who were in Columbus, and it was a house that was on the market for a few days in my neighborhood even.
Yeah, yeah,
And so I'm like,
those are
seriously?
those kicks in the
What?
gut that we
It-
kind of need sometimes though,
It's-
right?
Well, it's like I need to do this or not do this at this point, like I'm giving myself a little time here to either just start really digging in or not, cause I can't.
Decide what that is though, like, okay, give yourself I'm gonna spend 1 hour a day. And this is the thing I'm doing, and I think I pointed this out on Monday. It doesn't do us a lot of good if we're going to put lead generation on our calendar, but then come into that lead gen session and not know who we're contacting, not know how we're contacting them, and what the topic is. Then you're gonna spend busy time doing busy work, figuring out who am I calling. That is not a successful game plan. I'm not suggesting that there aren't people out there that sell real estate and they're loosey-goosey and they've got a great business. I'm not saying they don't. We have some here. And so good for them, but that's not typically the way things go. Having a good plan around it, you're gonna find success a lot easier, I feel. In any case, so when you put lead gen on your calendar, this is what it should say. Today, on Monday, I'm going to lead gen calling the people that came to my open house to get them set up in a search and thank them for coming. So sort of there's a questionable thing about lead gen and follow-up, right? So a portion of your lead gen can be follow-up. So understand the difference. Follow-up means you already generated that lead. So but if you're calling your SOI and you know them, but you're asking for referrals, that's not follow-up, that's lead gen. Because you're asking for referrals, so that would still get categorized as lead gen. But also, what you did to get people to an open house was the lead gen, right? But now I have to keep up with these people or I'm going to lose it. So that might be an example. Calling for sale by owners, calling expired listings, or reaching out in some way. Farming a neighborhood. Those are all things that are part of lead gen. So do not assume that lead gen just means you're picking up the phone and calling random strangers. It's a lot of things. So what's really important is this: on your calendar, on your checklist or whatever, in that block for lead gen, it needs to be specific. Who's the group of people I'm reaching out to and what is the thing I'm doing? And if I am calling or texting, what's my topic? And I would tell you that it's probably a good idea to not have 25 different conversations with 25 different people. Stick with the same. Here's the 10 people I'm going to call because they're past clients and I want to see how's life been in the new house. Or it's your anniversary in the house, or it's just you're using the forward script perhaps. So maybe on your calendar, it says on Friday, and I'm saying this for real life things, we have scripting and lead gen this Friday at 9:30 in person here in Canton. And what your calendar could say is, I'm going to practice scripting the forward script. And I'm going to call these 20 people that I have in my contacts, and I'm going to use the forward script. Then when you come in, that's what you're going to do. And then you're going to see more results than walking in and not knowing who you're calling and what you're saying, or who you're texting and what you're texting. When I text a group of people, I text the same thing to that entire group of people. That makes it way simpler than having to think about each person and saying something different. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't maybe change something a little bit, saying it was great talking with you last week, kind of a thing, right? I don't want to I do copy paste, but I do then put their personal name, I take out the name. And then if it doesn't make 100% sense what I'm saying, I might tweak it just slightly. For the most part, I'm copy and pasting. So that topic's coming out of me today in my lead gen. Don't make it harder than it needs to be. I probably wouldn't call my SOI and for sale by owners on the same time block. It doesn't mean I wouldn't do them in the same day perhaps, but I wouldn't use the same time block for that. If you are gonna call for sale by owners, enter into your lead gen time block time with the list of for sale by owners that you're going to contact. You're not gonna, you'll waste 30 minutes of that lead gen time if you're doing the research on them. So enter it or give yourself an extra half an hour for the research part of it.
Mm.
If, so like, for example, if you're looking at this 8 to 11 lead gen, then maybe I'm gonna break that up and say from 8 to 8:30, I'm gonna research the areas of people that I am reaching out to. So like, I'm gonna go on Zillow perhaps and look at all of Stark County for sale by owners in a particular price range. I'm gonna do that for a half an hour. During that time, I'm gonna cross-reference those to make sure they didn't actually list with an agent, right? And then I'm gonna start reaching out by call or text at that point, or whatever, wherever you're at with your for sale by owner plan. Or all the number of lead gen things. Today, we're talking about time blocking, not lead genning, but all of the millions of possible things that you can do as an agent to lead gen. If social media is your thing, then maybe that 8 to 11 is the first hour is going to be spent on just brainstorming content ideas. Don't make it too hard. I just put 52 things in the Google Drive that you can ask questions on social media. Listen, asking questions on social media is a hook. You can get way more engagement with a question than you can just a simple post. Or post something and then ask a question. Spend your hour on that. Maybe you spend the second hour you're doing videos on video. That is lead gen, guys. That falls into that category. And then spend the last hour actually posting it and engaging. As I'm going to rewind back to when I'm drinking my coffee and doing my emails and doing social media. Let me tell you what I'm doing on social media. I'm joining Facebook groups that are relevant to our industry. I'm going in those Facebook groups and I'm commenting on other people's questions and comments. And then I'm going on there and putting some kind of a relevant post. And it's not a, I just sold a house post. It's a question. Hey guys, what are you doing about this thing? Or who wants to learn more about that thing? Or just really pick up on what somebody else is asking about. For me, I'm always looking for agents and other brokerages that we can be talking to people to recruit from, but the work is still the same. When I see an agent say, just the other day, I was in a group and someone said, which I thought was crazy, does your brokerage give you 1099s every year? And I'm like, yeah.
That's a federal.
Exactly.
requirement.
And they said that theirs does not. And then somebody also said, well, that's because you have an LLC. And then this whole conversation started about the LLC. And I'm like, yeah, did you see that? I was cracking up. I was like trying so hard not to say something sarcastic, but I had to respond and say, I have an LLC and an S corporation, and I still get a 1099 from my brokerage. That is a requirement, so I don't understand how that could be the case. But the reason that I'm in those groups is just share ideas, of course, but like I'm sprinkling on those people a little bit of KW.
You're so self-control.
And then I go in and I DM them. Hey, I'd love to have a conversation with you about blah, blah, blah. And that's a hook because I want to build my downline. So any of us can be doing that, guys. Like, I mean, like I have 27 people in my downline. So I probably make no less than $1,000 a month in profit share most months when we're always profitable here at Legacy. Let's just face it, we're a very lucky brokerage. In any case, so there's some ideas. So when I say I'm spending time on social media when I'm having coffee in the morning, I'm not just liking and commenting on posts. I'm causing a reason for people to engage. Then I also created a group, and then I started inviting those people to my group to have those conversations in there. That is going to cause me to be able to bring in more recruits, be able to have more productivity coaches that I can coach. And also I have one that I'm working on right now that will appeal to buyers and sellers. So I started to join different Facebook groups that were relevant to real estate in our Northeast Ohio area. And I'm going to do the exact same cycle and the exact same thing. In particular, I started joining ones that were for builders since I'm building a house. And I want to get business for my builder because he knocked some price off my new construction. So I have to sell a couple houses for Jeffrey. So I'm going to actively go on social media and do that. So don't misunderstand when you're time blocking for social media. A part of it should be spent on content creation. A part of it should be spent on engagement. And then what does that engagement look like? I created a forum because I always do that. And in the drive, it's in the social media tab of the steps of joining Facebook groups and creating engagement and different things that you should be doing step by step. So that's all in that group as well. Moving on. I always budget some time for lunch-ish. So I like to spend my lunches with someone in the industry. So I went to lunch with Jen on Monday. I have lunch tomorrow with an agent from Shervenic. And so like, I'm always doing something like that so that, or a lender or our title company or another leader here in the office. So I'm spending my time, not to say that I don't have lunch sometimes with friends, I do. But I'm actively trying to spend my time still working through the day that way. And if nothing else, we're just having real estate related conversations that way. Sometimes I'm eating cheese and grapes at my desk because I'm working through a Zoom too, and that's okay. But just knowing that you're budgeting your day for the different things you're doing, for me, it's free. I feel less stressed to be able to budget all of these things. I love this, and I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger, move that up. Can you guys see that okay? I love this Realtor daily checklist here that talks about the different things that we can also be doing. So this fills in those blanks of what can I do during my lead gen time slot. A couple of others in here that I just want to kind of go through. They each have different tips on them here. So again, just another example, whoops, keep going in and out. Another example of what you can be doing to time block. I want to get to this one here. So this is a typical like Google Calendar. See again how we've got the color coded, lots of different things. I didn't even know this was on here. They're doing their emails and social media during coffee hour, which is exactly what I do. You see, they also budgeted on here for, this is my weekend. This is my lazy morning, if that's your thing. Maybe that's when I'm cleaning my house. All of those things are on their calendar. I would say that this person is a very well-balanced person too. I find balance in my life by, time blocking. I've heard many people say, in particular agents, some agents are like, time blocking stresses me out. Somebody in a class that I taught here on this topic, maybe even looked at this slide and said, that stresses me out. Just looking at this stresses me out. And maybe, I don't know, I'll ask you if you feel that way, is it putting it together that stresses you out? Some people freak out by looking at spreadsheets. I'm not a big lover of spreadsheets, but I do like when I have a good spreadsheet put together that now I can just add to it. It's the creation of it that's stressful. So maybe for somebody, this is stressful because it's just the creation of it. So you just have to get over that hump and use the templates that we have in place. And then you can fill in those blanks for yourself wherever you see fit. But I think I have a way more balanced life and a lot more stress-free of what I'm doing with my time when I have a really good time block calendar, which by the way, for me is 100% of the time. I don't go through a day that's not time blocked. I'm just an organized person that way. Some people, that organization stresses them out. I'm not going to go through every single one of these, but I also added a blank one in here. So if you needed to have a clean slate and you like it on paper, there's a blank one in here. Questions about that or similarities? What I'd love to hear from you guys is, and then I'll stop share screen here in a minute, but I'd love for anyone's input. Does this look similar to what you do? We established, a couple of you guys talking about that you do time block. Does it look something like that? What is the need for you? Like, what is it that you're wanting? Do you need to know how to fill that time? Do you need to know what resource? Like, I'm giving you some ideas, but is it the tools that you have questions about? Like, which calendar should I use, if anything? Or is it just knowing how to fill in those blanks? Where are your challenges with it? Anybody, if you have any?
I feel like for me, like I already have like a really good time block, I think like figured out. But some days like I have like empty gaps where it's just hard to come up with like some ideas to fill them.
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna say, and I love that because that can be true, especially like if you've budgeted, if you're off on Tuesday from your other job and you want to work all day in real estate on Tuesday, let's just say. So Bree, what I would say is this, all of the different trainings that we do talk about some kind of thing you can be doing to know what to do in real estate, right? So here's what I would do. Create a pond. Create a pond of the things that you learn from trainings of not just lead generating, but lead generating ideas you're interested in, real estate activities. Like we've got lists and lists in the Google Drive here of real estate activities. Just you have the Monday workday calendar, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
So even just on there, that is an 8-hour workday, and I can pull that up for those who don't know what I'm talking about. But that is an 8-hour workday. So just like I said, create your pond of ideas. So like when I have that blacked out day that I've got this blank spot in, what should I do at that time? Dip into that pond and say, okay, I'm going to pull that thing out then. Because I know what happens, and it happens to all of us. When you're in it, you're like, why am I brain dead about this right now? I feel like I should be doing something. If I always have this place that I can dip into to pull an idea to fill that blank with, then you don't have to stress about it, and then you aren't wasting time. Here's what I think happens is as agents, we feel like our time should be filled with appointments. So unless you have been in the business successfully for a period of time and you have a huge following and you have admins and all these people and ISAs putting together your workday for you, you probably aren't going to just have appointments. And even with that, our biggest team here, who also is the owner of our company, I'm pretty sure that his day is not just filled with going from one listing appointment to the next, even though he sold 150 houses last year. He has other things and other commitments, other things that he's doing. So like, think about this. If you hired an inside sales associate, which is ISA, if you hired one, what would you tell them the top 10 things that you want them to do for you would be?
Question.
Write that down. That's a great exercise. Write that down. What would I tell a person I'm paying hourly just to basically be my inside sales associate to do? Because you and me, we are our own ISA. Unless you can afford to hire one, you are it. So what would you have them do? And then that's some things that you could do.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I also want to pull this one up. A marketing calendar. I have a blank one in here as well. So like you could spend some time on your full year of marketing. So like if I have an empty space like that, Bree, or an appointment canceled on me, I can go ahead and say, you know what? I've got an hour to fill. I'm going to pull out my full year social media calendar, and there's blank ones in here. I think it's in our social media tab. And I'm going to go on there and I'm going to select a social media content topic for the rest of this year. Let me tell you what I recently did when I had a couple of hours. I I don't know if a meeting canceled or something. But it was on my list of things or in my pond of things that I knew I wanted to do at the beginning of the year. One of those was rebranding. I wanted to rebrand everything. I wanted everything to be much more similar. I wanted my signatures on all of my emails to match and tie together. I wanted marketing materials that I've created for coaching to look the same. So I spent 2 hours on rebranding. I went in Canva and did a whole bunch of content creation. I would also spend some of that time maybe going into Canva and creating template posts for myself. So that next time I sell a house, all I got to do is plug it in and it's quick and easy and it's ready to go. So those are some things. I know that that might not sound like a money-making activity, but it is. It actually is. Everything that I'm doing right now to market myself on social media is for free. By that, I mean, I'm week after week after week, I'm making no money doing this shit. I know that I'll see the return in 6 months. So we just have to keep at it there. I just wanted to see what's here. Here are just some tips. I'll let you guys go back through. I don't want to sit here and read this stuff to you, on how to stay organized. There's 18 things to keep you organized: daily to-do lists, weekly to-do lists, a goal list. We talk about this all the time in coaching. I think to have a big goal for the year is important and great, and we should absolutely have it. But I like to chunk that down. And I know we've been doing this with our group lately, is having a 90-day goal. So do your GPS for the year, but then also do a 90-day GPS. It's much easier to control, and it shouldn't look like your year goals. It should look like your quarter. So what am I going to accomplish the first quarter of the year and the second quarter of the year and so on? So basically that would be taking your goals for the year and breaking them out into quarters. I feel like when you chunk things down, we can get to more daily specific activities. It's too broad to say, I want to sell 25 houses this year. It's easier to control. Well, so to make that happen, I probably should start off the year with maybe 5. And then when's my busy season and kind of break it down that way. And it's not this, I hear this a lot from new recruits. I just want to sell 1 house a month. Well, we don't evenly sell houses. We might sell no houses in January and February and then sell 3 houses in March. So you have to know what your seasons are for starters, and chunking down those goals. Also this, when you have lead generating on your calendar, as I said before, know what your lead gen activity is, who you're reaching out to and what you're saying, but also have your goal there. So you should have a goal for what's going to happen at the end of that lead gen hour, 2 hours, whatever. And then you should be tracking it. In the Google Drive, again, tons of trackers in there for your daily activities. Don't forget that's in there. I created that 2 years ago, I think. You should also have a pipeline report. You should know whether you put it up on a whiteboard or you put it in a spreadsheet. I also created those and they're in the Google Drive. Some similar things like that are in the Locker Room University as well, that look much prettier than mine. In any case, knowing what the goal of that session is. If I'm making 25 phone calls, my goal would be that one person has someone they know or they have a real estate need. 1, not 24, not 10, 1. If I spend 1 to 2 hours contacting 25 people and I get a lead out of that, that's going to make me thousands of dollars. I think a lot of us stop doing things because they have way outlandish goals for the group of people they're reaching out to. And then they start to get disappointed and then discouraged, and then they stop doing it. So know what the expectation is and the small goal is. Tracking gym activities, same thing, you can be doing that. Putting together lists. This is just the little tips on making life a little bit easier. Like I'm just not that girl who's going to make meal plan lists, but that's great. Some people do. Budgets, spending. Remember, another thing they talked about yesterday in the 19 things they didn't teach you in real estate school was be financially secure in your business, knowing that you're running your business like a business and knowing what the spending is there and having that kind of thing, together for yourself. Also this, if I'm going to attend Bold, that should be on my calendar and thinking about how I'm going to budget for that. And then just some other tips in there. I won't waste too much time on that. Let me go ahead and pull up that. I think I talked about it enough times that I think I should pull up the Monday workday. Just so that you guys know it's there. Monday. There it is. Nope, this is yep, that's it. Okay. It's just not a good copy. Nonetheless, so we were meeting here on Monday mornings every week. Maybe a year ago? Was it a year ago or two? The time just flies anymore. I can't even remember.
It might have been a year.
I feel like it could have been further, yeah. So we started doing this because we talked about, you know what, if this is my full-time job, if real estate is my full-time job, and I don't have another full-time job, shouldn't I be working full-time hours? Shouldn't I be spending 40 hours a week working in real estate? And that doesn't mean 40 hours a week on appointments. Wouldn't that be great? I wonder how many hours, someone probably has this stat. I wonder how many hours you would have to work to have 40 hours of appointments. A lot, a lot. So do not mistake that what we mean by that is that you should be showing houses 40 hours a week. Good Lord. There's so many more activities, so many agents that don't sell the number of houses that they want to sell every year. It's because they're not doing any of this stuff. So we thought, okay, if you're full-time in real estate, listen, there's people that are dual career that are still full-time in real estate. If you're part-time in real estate, maybe then you follow this calendar or interpret it however you want and twist it into something that works for your life and for you. As a template, you could use this. Maybe you do this twice a week. Or if you're not going to be a person who knows that you're going to be able to commit to an 8-hour day, then, hey, I didn't get into real estate because I wanted to work 8 hours a day. That's fine too. Maybe you cut this in half. Maybe you work from 8:30 till 1, and then you do the second half the second day. And you know what? This is the cut version because I condensed, that's right. So we originally had this till 5 p.m. and then no one was staying till 5 p.m. So I condensed it into a half of a day. So these were, anyone who would want the original one, just let me know, I can get it for you. I had this originally scheduled and booked out for an 8-hour day. But we were getting together, so get together from 8:30 to 9 or do this from home. 8:30 to 9, joining together. We were meeting here in the training room and it was accountability time. So we talked about what were our goals from last week, what did we achieve? And then really what this means is today. We were meeting once a week, but really this is meant to be daily. That's why I called it Monday workday, because it was like, okay, if we're working on Monday, but you should now go home and do this on your own on Tuesday. So what was my win from yesterday? And then what am I going to do today? Then we did a lead gen hour. We had used to have a podcast in here that we watched as a group, but I was condensing the time. So if that's your thing, if you like to read or listen to podcasts or watch something like a webinar or something, that's a good time to get your day started. I listen to those kinds of trainings while I'm getting ready in the morning. So when I'm getting ready in my bathroom, I have my laptop, and that's when I'm watching or listening to something like that. I can't focus long enough to watch something like that. So I would rather be getting my hair done and my makeup and stuff while I'm watching something like that. And then your first lead gen hour gives examples of what that looks like. I turn this into a tracker. And then on Mondays, we do dominate your week for an hour. back to checking emails, texts, follow up with leads, that kind of thing, and then tracking it. So everything we're doing, there's a tracking point so that you can actually hold yourself accountable. If you aren't tracking what you're doing, then how can you hold yourself accountable to it? Then we have a marketing hour on here from 11:30 to 12:30, which is content creation, putting your posts out there. You know, go on ChatGPT if you don't know what some content should be for you, and just tell it, create 10 content posts for me for this week, and this is what I'm looking for. So somewhat real estate related, more real estate related, it'll keep tweaking it for you. You don't have to recreate the wheel. And then you'll see I have in here this last half hour is time blocking the rest of your week. And then we have a group discussion and talk about wins and obstacles, and then try to talk through that with each other. What was an obstacle? Maybe you made a call and someone threw something at you. Let's talk about that and script through it. And then always remembering, what was my goal for today? What did I achieve? And then always, what's my big why? So why am I doing this? It's different for everyone. Some people, it's just to support myself. For some people, it's, I want to put my kids through college. For some people, it's, so I can quit my other job. So knowing what that is and looking at that on a regular basis is pretty important. What did I miss? I'm going to stop share. What did I miss? What did you come here to hear about that I didn't talk about in regards to time management and time blocking? Or questions? We've got about 5 more minutes. Anybody? I would also love to see what you guys come up with. I would love to see and happily meet with you and sit down and look at, we talk about this when we do our one-on-ones and we're doing your GPS. We talk a lot about those strategies. Those are things that you can time block. So again, Bree, to go back to answering your question, look at your GPS when you have that, blank spot in your day. Your GPS should be readily available, because your 15 strategies, those are the to-dos. And those things, I tell you guys as we're building your GPS, that your 15 strategies should be 2 things. An action item that you can measure. An action item that you can measure. If your strategy is too general, then how do you hold yourself accountable for doing it? And if it's not an action item, then where's the to-do in it? Your priorities are the general statement, such as open house or social media or door knocking, whatever you're doing to build a plan. The strategies are the to-dos. And so when you're finding yourself like, okay, I've done all the stuff that I thought I was going to do today, but now I want to do more, I would dig into my GPS and say, okay, what was something on here that should have gotten plucked onto my calendar? I mean, I envision my GPS strategies as white little sticky notes that I can pull off of a page and plop onto a wall calendar consistently. That's just how I envision that GPS as a to-do list that goes on my calendar. I would also say it's so super important so once you get into the rhythm of time blocking, you don't have to spend time once a week building it. So my time blocking is evolving all the time. It's always evolving. I don't have a start or an end date to it because I'm just in it and I'm doing it. For those of you who are trying to get more active with your time blocking, pick a day and time. Maybe it's Sunday evening, maybe it's Monday morning, whatever it is for you, and say, okay, I need to go on my calendar to time block for the week. I would say if you don't do it now for the rest of this week and next week. Spend some time. This sounds crazy, but time block to time block. And then go into your calendar, look at what do I have to do this week that's personal? Do I have a doctor's appointment, a nail appointment? Do we have dinner with friends on Friday? Whatever, is it someone's birthday? Whatever you need to do first, and then you build around that with, okay, our team meetings on Tuesday, budget time for that. I want to go to Dominate Your Week every Monday, and I want to go to this class, and I want to go to scripting. Put those things on the calendar. And then around that, then, okay, now where am I going to block time for my appointments? Where am I going to block time for, lead gen, content creation, blah, blah, blah. And then it just evolves. Keep reoccurring it. Then you only have, I would say you only have to spend a couple of times on the putting it together, and then it just flows from there. Questions? All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for joining us, and hopefully we'll see some of you here on Friday in person, if possible, to do our scripting at 9:30 and then lead gen from 10 to 11.
Thank you.
See you guys.